Welcome back to another football podcast today. Today we're going to discuss about Barcelona, as we have a Barcelona fan here, and the overall consensus about this season. How do you think this season went, and what do you expect after COVID-19 as it's opening again in June 11th, right? So,
Yeah.
what do you expect from the team after the lockdown ends?
So for us, this COVID-19 break was like a blessing in disguise because Setien was just appointed in January, so we didn't really get like a lot of time with the squad. So although like we just had like 3-4 weeks of training and like the full squad training has only been allowed like in the last 10 days.
Yeah.
But still, I guess at least tactically he would have had a chance to like convey whatever he feels like and make those adjustments. So I feel like we'll see an improved Barcelona after when we resume football again when the La Liga reopens.
Okay, even I'm excited actually because
Yeah, long time
we
without football.
Yeah, and another thing is Real Madrid. Like we usually, do not do well in the league. Last 8 seasons, do something like that bullshit they're doing. So and then we beat you this time, and then lost to some Real Betis after that. Like
Yeah,
what the hell? That should not happen. I think both the teams are very inconsistent. To be fair, in the league at least this season, because both the teams have played horribly and just a 2 point or 3 point difference. So
I guess
I
it's just like one. Okay, two.
2 point difference. So I think that that just shows that how shit we have been. So yeah, I'll start out with the first question, which is about the board. I think it's well documented. Barcelona have been very upset with fans, at least have been very upset with Bartomeu and his recent shenanigans or whatever he's been doing since last after I think post Enrique. I think he has been horrible, right?
I guess the
So
problem has been even during Enrique. The thing was that we were winning trophies and we were winning trebles, so that kind of overshadowed the
yeah.
shortcomings of the board.
Yeah, and I feel Bartomeu has been incompetent in terms of signings, and
Yeah.
he's been lacking ambition. What's your take on it? And as a Real Madrid fan, seeing Neymar go is like, how can you let the player like that go for any amount of money? To be fair, and not replacing with Ousmane Dembele again, very incompetent there. He played PlayStation or something. Some bullshit came up there. So yeah, what do you think of the board, and do you think they have to buckle up, for the team to step up on the field also?
So yeah, over the years we've actually shifted from the club's core values both on and off the pitch.
Yeah,
As you said rightly, the current board is simply incompetent. Like the recent scandal where Bartomeu was found spreading hate against our club's players and sort of damaging their image is
yeah,
testament to that. So every year, like in the transfer window, we go behind these like big money signings,
yeah,
and not just like the signings, the incomings and some of the outgoings as well. They don't make a sense from like a footballing point of view,
yeah,
and we've stopped giving chances to younger players and trusting our Barca B players,
mm,
something which contributed to a lot of success under Guardiola.
yeah,
Some of the current Barca B players who are out on loan or are playing for Barca B are like Elenia, Cucurella, and
mm,
then there's Ricky Puig as well. And someone who's
yeah,
not from Barca B, a young player, Todibo, are examples of that.
mm,
So, and the club is clearly being mismanaged. I mean, squad
mm.
planning is evident. And
Yeah,
so
like,
basically, in the January transfer window, we loaned out Todibo. At the time when we
mm,
loaned him out, we had three centre backs in form of PK, Umtiti, and Lele. And Umtiti, as we know, has a lot of injury issues and he got relied upon. And basically, Umtiti got injured
mm,
as like after the transfer window ended, and we were left with only two centre backs to get in people from Barca B. I mean,
mm,
loading out someone like Todibo at that point after he performed against Inter Milan at San
inter-
Siro
yeah,
away, yeah, just did not make sense. And then like similar thing happened with Carlos Alenia. One of the criticism, like even though it's been a very short period, but under Kike Setien, it's been like we've lacked creativity from midfield, and Alenia
yeah,
could just be that guy who would provide some sort of a spark from midfield. And we loaned him out to Real Betis in the January
mm,
transfer window. So like some of these decisions are baffling, and I mean, yeah. And if you look at someone like Real Madrid, right, you guys have made really smart signings and signed like young players with a lot of potential. So you have like
yeah,
Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr., you have
yeah,
Mendy, Jovic, though he's not performed yet, but he's still a good player, and then you have like
Yeah.
Hakimi and Odegaard out on loan. So you guys like have actually like have proper squad planning in place. Also, like the problem is like these bigger mega signings we like undertake are like the huge wages they come in with, and we
Yeah.
also give like these old players a lot of long contracts or renew their contracts when they are like reaching towards the end of their career.
Mm.
And our wage bill is the highest in Europe for a reason.
Yeah.
Giving like 28, 30-year-olds 4, 5 year contract renewals is not waste. For Messi, I
Yeah.
can understand, but some of the others, it does not make like a footballing sense.
Yeah. True.
And we later have like no option but to succumb to the player demands. For instance, Rakitic, who though has been a very good player for the club in the past, right now he's clearly getting on, and it's evident on
Mm.
the pitch. So we've tried to like offload him at the end of the season, or there were talks about him leaving last season as well, but he doesn't
Yeah.
want to go. I mean, he's on good wages. Why would he mind sitting out? As a
Anyway.
result, we can't. Yeah, we're failing to shift out Deadwood from the squad. And
Mm.
lastly, because of all these things I talked about, there's too much player power, and which is
Mm.
clearly setting the wrong precedent for like the Barca B players as well. And
Yeah.
some of the players leaving Barca B is testament to that as well.
Yeah. I think one thing Real Madrid are doing good is that they're getting the young players in, which they didn't do before. I think before Zidane, like when three-peat first season, I don't think so. We had a good youth academy in play, like youth promotion in place. I think after Zidane came in, I think one credit we have to give is that he promoted Casemiro. He promoted the likes of Lucas Vazquez, who have, even though Lucas Vazquez is not the best of the players, I think he was very useful during that time.
Yeah.
And Casemiro, of course, you've seen the kind of what a player he is. Pelting the likes of Frankie De Jong on the way. And also Fede Valverde this year. Even though I'm not a biggest fan of Fede Valverde as a player because he's an okay player. He just does everything okay. Everything is like
a bit like
7 on 10, something. But he doesn't have anything exceptional. But I think you need someone like that when you have an immobile Toni Kroos and 34-year-old Modric, who are still performing atop the games but do not have the legs. So Fede makes a lot of sense there. I think, our young talent have been good. And another thing, player power, I think, that's also true. When Messi has been, a culprit of that, actually, not victim, that he has a lot of say in Barcelona's affairs. But I think, I've heard some stories regarding that.
Yeah, believe into that, but yeah, there is player power, and Messi is a part of the like Suarez, Messi, Piqué, Rakitic, Busquets. These are some of the like, yeah.
I think that is not there at Real Madrid. I think Perez is fairly strong in terms of his beliefs, and Zidane also. Even though Bale has been shitting on the club.
With Valverde in charge, it was like, it was more of a thing. I feel with Setien, it has slowly started to diminish. I mean, not obviously, it can't diminish completely, but with Valverde, it was a massive problem.
Yeah. Okay, so the board, the main problem with you is that incompetence and lack of planning for the future and not promoting youth enough and making bad signings.
Yeah, elections are coming up in 2021. So this summer, they're desperate for another mega signing. So we're constantly being linked to Neymar, and just somehow we are like gathering funds for that and keeping everything else aside. Like, I don't think it can be possible for us to like get someone like a Neymar, considering the huge wages he'll be on, even if he takes a pay cut.
Yeah.
And from a financial point of view, it just doesn't make sense. But the board are like going to do everything possible to try and get in a mega star, because with the election so close, they need to make some sort of a statement signing.
Now, coming to the next question, transfers do you think are good, and which do you think didn't make sense at all at the time of signing, either their price or their fit to the team? Who do you think?
So, as a fan from outside, I feel like the manager and the coaching team has no say in transfers. It looks like the board go out and make signings, and then the manager has to try and incorporate those signings in the team. It doesn't feel like the manager wanted a player, had a role for him in that squad in mind, and then he went ahead and got it. It's more like the board getting someone, and the manager is kind of forced to play him because of the huge money we spent on that signing. So if you look at someone like Coutinho, we signed him for 140 million. Firstly, that's a huge fee, and going ahead and spending such a huge fee on a guy who we know plays or operates in the same space as Messi can be, is questionable. But okay, maybe the board felt that Coutinho can play in midfield and it can sort of work out. And actually, he had a good ending of the season, like he was signed in the January transfer window, and for that season he played in midfield for that
Yeah.
season, and he actually put in some good performances. He was not brilliant, but he played pretty well. He contributed to uh, played pretty well from the midfield. But
Yeah.
next season, because again, like I was talking earlier, that we paid such a huge fee for him, so the manager
Yeah.
was kind of forced to play him. So he ended
Yeah.
up playing him out of position on the left wing, and he
Hmm.
struggled there. He was really bad out on the left
Yeah.
wing, and it was not like it was just for like we gave him a lot of time at the left wing, so it was like not
Yeah.
just for a few games, but for almost the majority of the season. And so after one bad season, we again shifted him out. So my issue
Yeah.
is like,
That why you
how
loan
can
him out,
you?
right?
Yeah, my issue is like, how can you pay such a high fee for a player? First of all,
Yeah.
you're not sure whether he perfectly fits in your team, and secondly, like, how can you lose the conviction so easily just after one bad year? So,
Yeah.
like, with what conviction did you go out and spend like 140 million for a player when you can't
Yeah.
back him after just one bad year? So, I mean, that point for me like stands out, because if you're going in, okay, like some of the decisions can backfire, but then that's where the conviction comes in, right? You
Hmm.
paid 140 million because of a certain reason, and just
Yeah.
after one bad season, it's just like, yeah, gone out of the window. And
Yeah.
secondly, like,
Yeah, if you
you
see
know,
even Liverpool, right, they've
yeah,
gotten the big money signings like Alisson for 70 mil or 60 mil,
yeah,
but they knew that they're going to play him and he's
yeah,
going to be good for them. Even Van Dijk for 75 mil, they knew that they're going to play him and he is going to certainly improve the team. When
yeah,
Barca got in Coutinho, I heard that stories from the fans only that, oh, he's going to replace Iniesta. I was like, no. Iniesta is not a kind of player which Coutinho is. Iniesta
yeah,
is a dribbler who passes around very smoothly, but Coutinho is like, he's a very harmless kind of a player who, shoots from outside, creates chances out of nothing. He's not a he's not a team player as Iniesta was. He was not adept to the passing which Spanish players or flair players are adept to. I felt that Naby Keita at that time was a better signing for you guys. And his injuries have of course taken a toll on him, but I think Naby Keita was a very good signing. But I think Frankie De Jong signing now is a good signing. What about Griezmann? His
yeah. So
transfer.
yeah, so if you look at it, we've gone ahead and kind of done the same thing with Griezmann. We've paid
Yeah.
120 million for him, and again we don't know what to do with him. So we play him as a striker up front. We don't play him as a striker up front in his natural position. We simply put him out on the left.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's been poor, and I mean that was sort of expected when you put someone like a Griezmann
Yeah.
out on the left wing. So my basic point is that you don't go ahead and make these sort of big money signings unless you're clear of what role they play in your team.
Yeah.
And if you do want to take gambles, better take it on like younger players. Take cheaper gambles on younger players. So yeah, talking about Griezmann more in detail, I mean, first, like, I personally wasn't a huge fan of the Griezmann signing,
Yeah,
but
same.
what I like thought was he does play for Atleti, who are like a defensive-minded team, and then coming to Barca, who are more attacking and surrounded by better players around. He may work, but then that's certainly not turned out to be a case. So
Yeah.
about that, so firstly, adapting to a new club is not difficult, and especially a club like Barca with our
No,
style
he's
of
played for
play.
France, right? He's played for France,
Yeah.
and they have played
But then
kind
even
of.
the likes of Neymar, Suarez, Henry, and even Sanchez, they take some time to adapt to Barca. So my
Yeah.
point is, adapting to a new style and a new system while playing in a new position is even more difficult.
Yeah.
And the position is not just the problem. If you see the likes of Villa under Guardiola, or even
Yeah.
Delph under Guardiola, Axel Witsel in Dortmund, they
Yeah.
have been playing in different positions. But the thing is, I don't think Valverde was capable enough to kind of coach Griezmann into that new role, because you also need some level of coaching and tactical sort of
Prowess.
to get these players adjust to a different kind of role or play them in a new role. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see under Setien if it works out really differently. But the thing is with Griezmann is like every game, he works really hard. He presses opponents and comes and helps out in the defense. So as a fan, I mean, you see him putting trying his best out there, but at the same time, he's like the third or fourth highest earner in the club, and he's in no means justifying his price tag or his wages. So with Griezmann, like, I would like to see him play sort of in his natural position as a false nine or strike or whatever that is, or if Setien can find a new role for him, like an inside forward or something like that.
Yeah.
I would be like, I would like to see him play like in that role in this like towards the end of the season.
I have only one thing about Griezmann is that he plays in a similar role again to Messi, like Coutinho did. I think Messi plays two roles for the club, right? He's also
Yeah,
the ball progressor like Coutinho is, and he is also the end product kind of a guy like Griezmann is.
yeah,
So I think that's where the problem lied, right? Griezmann is a false nine, who sits behind a striker. We've seen for France him and Giroud having good partnership up front.
yeah.
It's the same with Messi. He just sits in behind a striker and scores as many goals as a striker and also assists a lot, like an attacking midfielder. So I feel there was the problem, but I feel if Setien is smart enough, I think he would have thought of this or not. I don't know, but I feel Messi has to be rested more. He's entering his
Yeah, that's for
30s,
sure.
so I think Griezmann can play a role there, but he's also 29. So
Yeah, it was not. It was in no way a smart signing. Paying
yeah.
120 million and getting him on the wages we did.
So I think
It
three
was more
seasons for
like
a 29, yeah. 3 seasons for a
it was more
29-year-old
like
doesn't make sense.
it was like more of board's agenda. Similar thing what happened with Malcolm. We kind of robbed him of Roma. Griezmann obviously did not come to Barca the year before, so the board wanted to kind of go and make a statement saying that you like the club. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
factors behind it.
And
So.
what do you think of the Ajax twins of De Ligt and De Jong? You missed out on De Ligt. I don't know how.
Yeah,
because,
so let me talk about like some of the better transfers, sort of good transfers we've made. So
Yeah.
under this board, obviously, I guess we did sign Marc-Andre ter Stegen under this board.
Yeah.
So he has turned out to be a brilliant signing. And then we've had few good signings here and there. We've had Clement Longley, who's turned out to be a good signing. Arthur
Yeah.
Melo will turn out to be a good signing. Frankie
Yeah.
de Jong, even though we bought him on a huge fee, I feel he'll turn out to be a good signing.
Yeah.
So we've had few good transfers here and there, but majority has been like, majority of them don't make any sense, like other than the commercial aspect of
Yeah.
it.
I think this is Woodward effect in Barcelona again. Having just signing, big name players.
Even like
Yeah.
someone like a Paulinho, we went ahead and signed him for 40 million. We were lucky to sell him on again on 40
Yeah.
million, so we didn't
He
make
lost
any
the bullet.
loss, but still like signings such as
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, they don't make sense at all. I'm going to next question, right? After transfers.
Mhm.
Ernesto Valverde.
Yeah.
He has had fair amount of criticism coming his way by the fans during his time. What's your take on that? And was he actually so bad winning 3 league titles, 2 league titles? Champions League was a horror show, but league titles and the Copa del Rey were coming in. So what's your take on Valverde?
So I mean, to start off, Valverde was never an impressive appointment in the first place. But
Yeah.
I do have a lot of sympathy for him because it was not entirely his fault. He was
Yeah.
made to look like a scapegoat to cover the board's shortcomings, that's for sure. But he was
Yeah.
also a bit of a yes man. I don't think he actually had a say in transfers as well. My main issue with Valverde is that he played it too safe, and I don't know, it felt like he was a bit intimidated by the big names around because he played the same team week in, week out, irrespective of the kind of performances the players were putting in. Busquets and Rakitic would have atrocious games and would continue to feature in the team the next week. So the players like Arthur, Elenia, Semedo, naturally, like, they did not really get a look in. And that kind of, that kind of affects the squad harmony and disrupts stuff. And as a result, there was like a dressing room divide. I mean, that's what came out in the news. And few of the players became like undroppable, which is never really a good sign. So the players knew that they would start irrespective of the kind of performances they put in. That's where the whole Club de Amigos narrative came in with Messi, Suarez, PK, Busquets, Rakitic, all of them like playing week in, week out. I mean, with Messi, okay, he does put in the performances, so it's hard to argue, but some of the other players did not perform to their potential and still were put in the team despite options being available. So with Valverde, that was the main issue. And like you said, he has been successful domestically, but these factors and the stylistically, I feel he never like played to Barca's strengths as well. I mean, Sergio Busquets, if you play him like a kind of just a defensive midfielder when you don't play the Barca way, is not as effective as a Sergio Busquets in a system where we actually try to like the players around him are pressing.
Sergio
and we're
Busquets needs
passing.
the ball with him.
Yeah, without the ball and with the kind of like team Valverde put him in, it was not his best. And those were clearly his worst performances under Ernesto Valverde.
Yeah.
And
And
also, like,
I
talking
have a,
about
yeah,
some of the
go on, go on.
signings as well. I mean, like Coutinho, we've said like we played him out in the left wing and he failed there. But the thing is, Valverde never had the tactical acumen or whatever. Like he never really tried to adjust his tactics or something to make to find a place for Coutinho. We never made that effort. I mean, like I said earlier, you go ahead and pay like such huge fees, 140 million, and then you don't even try to like give him like, because it was always like, because Messi used to occupy the space, as you said before, some other alternative could have been found out. Some tactical adjustments could have been made, but those were not done, and he was just like thrown out of position. So I mean, Valverde never. I don't feel like he had it in him to manage a club like Barca, not just like tactically on the field as well, but even outside, managing the dressing room and the egos. He wasn't clearly intimidated by some of the big names around.
Another thing with Valverde is that the thing is, Zidane, I respect him for his man management. To be fair, even if board gave him some bad signings sometimes, like if this is what I feel from outside judgment of Real Madrid and how he has played Ronaldo during his later years. What he done is he was just rest Messi against some Getafe at home or something like that, and just not play him and play Coutinho instead of him, where he gets his mojo back against the lower sides, playing how they want to play. I think that makes a lot of sense. And playing Messi fresh in Champions League games, high intensity games. I think that's where Valverde and many managers actually miss out on his man management and looking out for players. I think Ronaldo didn't even travel sometimes to away games like some.
And Valverde also, one of the criticism that because he used to like put in the same team week in week out players, actually because all these players are old, they're getting on, so they actually need adequate time of rest and to recover.
Playing 60 games at 30 years old is not easy.
Yeah. So and it's not like he didn't have the options. It was just more like he always played it safe. He wanted to sort of,
This is the Sarri problem which happened at Chelsea, right? Same thing, playing the same 11, predictable.